everyone. Thank you again for attending and viewing the Speakers Bureau, St. Lucie County Public Schools Speakers Bureau. And today we have a fabulous guest that is going to share his story. Now, for those of you that have never tuned in before, the Speakers Bureau is about motivating, encouraging, and inspiring others to do their best in life through the stories of those of us that have gotten what we call successful or have obtained. And so we share our life story, and we're very real about those challenges and the things that we've gone through so that we can give, through the story, different principles and different ways that you can overcome. So thank you again for joining. And today we have Mr. Henry Sanabria. He is the principal of Lincoln Park Academy, and he's been so gracious today to come on the program. Thank you, Mr. Sanabria.
You're very welcome, ma'am, and thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Appreciate it. So we're going to get right into it. We've got like a 30-minute segment, and I've got a lot of questions for you. So let's start out with what you actually do. I mentioned that you are principal of Lincoln Park Academy. Tell us about your job and what you do right now.
Well, ma'am, I am the proud principal of Lincoln Park Academy, and with that comes a lot of responsibility. I am responsible for the entire faculty on campus, which is made up of about 135 personnel.
Okay.
We're talking about teaching staff, non-teaching staff, our maintenance staff, and our cafeteria food service staff. And basically maintaining the good order and discipline on the campus takes the entire team to help achieve that. And of course, being the leader of that, I have to make sure that I, for one, set that example, maintain the standards that have been established, and that everyone, as adults, enforce those standards, and then hopefully our students comply with them, right? But responsibilities can go from supervision of students to the administrative side of the house, where, of course, we all have to take care of paperwork, right?
Of course.
And then I'm also responsible for hiring personnel, and evaluating those personnel along with my administrative team. I have 3 assistant principals on campus with me who make up the administrative team, and without them, of course, we could not be as successful as we are. And then, of course, our teaching staff, who are a key and vital to the learning process, right? And how successful our students are and can be, and the achievement that they reach at the end of each year, right?
Our teachers are seriously my heroes, because I know what it's like to be in a classroom with 20, 18, 20 kids or what have you, and your responsibility is to make sure that each of those children learn, and not just academically, but learn in all areas of life.
Absolutely, I agree. And as I said, you know, they are the vital component to this whole equation, right? We call education. And our job as administrators, my job as the principal, is to ensure that they are supported 100%, and that all those challenges and obstacles that get in the way of their job are removed or minimized, so that they can do the best that they possibly can.
Extremely important, that part.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell us some of the accomplishments that Lincoln Park Academy has as of this year, you know, recent accomplishments, because we know it's a powerful, very strong school in our district when it comes to academics. So share a little bit about that.
Well, this year, as far as our academic accomplishments, we really won't know until the end of the year when we tally up what our test results will end up being, but we're confident that we will do very, very well. We have been an A school for the last 20 consecutive years. Well, I wouldn't say consecutive, because the year of COVID kind of, we didn't have a grade officially during that year. But for 20 years, we've been an A school, and we've maintained that A grade for such a long time.
How does that happen? how can you obtain an A school for more than 20 years? How does that happen?
Well, it takes a lot of hard work and commitment and collaboration. We all work together to ensure that. I've always said that it takes a lot of hard work to improve in any organization or in any agency, right?
Yes, it does.
And a lot goes into that. But to maintain that success for a period of time can be quite challenging as well. And so we have taken that task on and have been very successful, and I'm still confident that we will continue to maintain that as long as we work together and collaborate together.
And I'm sure you have very supportive parents as well, because
Absolutely.
parents play an important role in their child's education.
They really do. And so when I say we, I'm talking about all stakeholders, not just those of us that are on campus, but our parents as well. They're part of that equation. We have very, very supportive parents. You know, as you already know, and as many know, Lincoln Park Academy, in order to get into Lincoln Park Academy, you have to apply or register, enroll on the list at the district level, which is the magnet school list. And people wait a long, long time to get their child to come to Lincoln Park Academy. Sometimes they are fortunate to get in at 6th grade. Sometimes it might be 7th. In some cases, it could be in the high school.
And they
But
actually
they
put their
want them
children's
there.
name on the list, like when they're kindergartners or first graders, right?
Right now, they're putting them at birth.
At birth,
So it's
wow.
that long. The list is that long, or it takes that long. But the rationale behind that is that they truly want their child to attend Lincoln Park Academy.
The next question I have for you is talking now and getting into your life story. Who are you, Mr. Sanabria? Well, have you always been a part of education? How did you get into that field? Were you ever doing anything else in life? But start out with us with what it was like growing up and where you're from.
Okay, well, I was raised in New York. I come from a suburb of New York City, basically right outside of New York City, Yonkers, New York, in Westchester County. I lived pretty much on the border of Yonkers and the Bronx. And growing up there was quite challenging, kind of like the city. I attended school, primarily private school originally, and then public school afterwards. I graduated from Yonkers High School. I was not one of those students, although I was very intelligent, or thought I was a smart guy. I really did not want to continue in post-secondary education. My thought was I needed to get away from where I was and do something different. So I joined the military. I actually enlisted in the United States Air Force.
At the tender age of what?
I was actually 17, going on 18 when I graduated from high school. And so I enlisted. I knew that I was going to go into the military because I actually enlisted in the delayed entry program in my junior year.
Okay.
And so when I graduated from high school, I worked part-time at Nathan's Famous, the famous hot dog restaurant.
Know about Nathan's.
And I worked there.
I'm a Jersey girl myself, so I get it.
I worked there until I departed for basic training. And when, after basic training, I actually became a law enforcement specialist, a military policeman.
Okay.
And so I went to my technical training. From my technical training, I selected regions throughout the United States that I would like to be stationed at, as well as countries overseas. And I lucked out with going back to New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
My first assignment, was in New Jersey, about an hour and a half away from home. And so,
you're trying to get away from there.
I was trying to get away, but I think it worked out very well because I really learned a lot about myself during those years while stationed in New Jersey. And I was very fortunate enough to have supervisors who looked out for me and kind of put me on the right path to success, if you will, and for promotion. And there was one specific individual that I believe really changed my life. Actually, two. They were a married couple, and they basically worked on me. They worked on me. They would basically provide me with a lot of mentoring. They would provide me with a lot of guidance, and it was very helpful in my early years as a young airman and into my non-commissioned officership, if you will.
Well, as you know, we are a Kids at Hope district, a public school district, which means that we believe that all children are capable of success, no exceptions. And as you tell that story about having mentors, you were older, but it's important to have those mentors in children's lives and young people's lives, to take on a young person and really try to help groom them and mold them into what would be successful later on in life.
Yes, ma'am, I agree with that. And because of what I learned from them, I actually did the same. I paid it forward, and I became a mentor as I moved up in rank and in grade and in position, if you will. But not only that, while in the military, and I spent 21 years in the military, and I did a lot of traveling. I learned how to give back and the meaning of giving back, if you will. And so there was a time where, when I was stationed overseas in Japan, I became a coach. I was coaching girls and boys basketball for the high school that was on campus. And that's where I started becoming more aware of my capabilities as a mentor and even somewhat of an educator, if you will.
Did you learn how to speak the language?
I did.
Okay.
But you know what happens when you don't use it, you lose it.
Right. Do you speak any other languages besides English?
Yes, ma'am. Spanish.
Okay, okay. You didn't lose that, though.
No, ma'am.
Because you use it.
Because I use it. I do.
Okay, great. So you grew up in New York. Share with us your family. Are you a married man? How many children do you have?
I am married. I'm fortunate enough to have been married to my high school sweetheart for 35 years.
So you left for the military, but you maintained that high school sweetheart?
Sure did, and that's why I said that going back to New Jersey was a blessing.
Okay, that's why. Okay, I should have asked you why was it such a blessing?
we were not having that so-called long-distance relationship, but I was very fortunate, very lucky, and very blessed that my wife, who supported me not only through high school, because she did get me through some hard times in high school. Okay. She supported me throughout my entire military career. And
a good woman.
Yes, we have two children. I have a daughter and a son. My daughter is married with two children, so we are grandparents.
Oh my gosh!
One is,
you look young for a grandparent.
Well, thank you. One is 7 years old. The other is 6 years old.
Okay.
My son is he is working on his relationship. I think he'll probably be making that next step here very soon. But he's been with his so-called high school sweetheart for quite some time as well. And
well, he saw his dad have enough sense to make sure that he kept a good woman.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I've always
Following
told him that a man's success usually revolves around having a good woman on his side, at his side.
That encourages him. And,
Absolutely.
And not just encourages, sets the example as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. What you're doing now, because you was in the military for a long time. What happened there? And you didn't get a college degree first.
No.
So when did that start in your life, and how did that happen?
Well, while in the military, some of the technical schools that you go to, the courses that you take can apply towards college credit. But I didn't learn about post-secondary education until a little later on in my career when I started looking at further promotion and those types of things. I needed to do something that set me apart from everybody. So I knew that, and listening to my supervisors and other leaders, I knew that education was part of that, setting us apart from others.
Okay, so you can only go but so far without a degree in the
Yes.
military. So
Yep.
you can get to a certain point, but you can't go any further unless you have that bachelor's
Especially
degree.
in the higher ranking grades.
Right, if you
Especially
wanna
in the
go
if you
further.
want to go further. And so I took advantage of what Uncle Sam had to offer. And I never really thought about that, but there are plenty of opportunities for everyone who is in the military to get an education, to achieve their bachelor's degree, even their master's.
And the military pays for it.
And the military pays for it. Yeah. And so I was blessed with that opportunity. I took advantage of that, and I ended up getting my criminal justice degree.
Okay.
I got an instructor in military science degree, and then I worked towards my adult education degree. Now, that didn't happen until a little later on in my career when I decided to make a change.
Okay.
I worked my way up in the military police career field to where I became a criminal investigator. And then when I ended up in Las Vegas, Nevada, at Nellis Air Force Base, I actually became the chief of criminal investigations there.
Okay.
And that was a great job. I really enjoyed it. However, I got to the point where I wanted to do something different. And so what I did was I applied for what we refer to as a controlled duty assignment back in New Jersey. The Air Force had opened up an air war college in New Jersey at Fort Dix, right outside of McGuire Air Force Base. And they were looking for instructors. And so I still had some contacts in New Jersey. I made a couple of phone calls, and they said, hey, there's a great opportunity out here. They're looking for more instructors. Why don't you just apply? So I applied, and lo and behold, within 2 months, I was gone.
Okay.
I was leaving Las Vegas, and I was going back to New Jersey to work at the Air Mobility Warfare Center, that's what it was called at the time, as a combat skills instructor.
Okay. Now, when did you get, your bachelor's degree, by this time you have it?
Yes.
To get to that point?
No,
that you
I didn't
had?
have my bachelor's degree at that time.
Okay, when did you decide to do that, and how did you end up here in St. Lucie County?
Well, so while I was at the Air Mobility Warfare Center and being a combat skills instructor and an anti-terrorism instructor, I took advantage of getting my bachelor's degree in adult education. So because I just loved being in the classroom, I loved teaching. It was what an experience to see people, learn and apply what they're learning. And for us, that application came in the real world sense where they would go out to these deployments and come back and then share how they applied what they were taught at our school and utilize that and how it helped them to survive in that environment.
Yes, it makes me think of the career and technology that we have and all of our different partners that's out there in the community as far as the children learn these skills, they can go out and apply these skills, and make it into the real world.
Absolutely.
Before they even graduate.
And so that's how that worked for us as combat skills instructors and anti-terrorism instructors. The success stories that we heard as these teams came back from those deployments and those environments, and that good feedback that they were giving us.
So our time is running short, but tell us, how did you end up here in St. Lucie County? I mean,
So-
you're mostly in Jersey and Japan and all these places. How do you get here?
Okay, so when I came back from after 9/11 and after the deployment that my team and I went on to support the support the country in what we had to do after that response. We were deployed to a classified location, but quite honestly, we were supporting the fight in Afghanistan. And so when I came back and the decision was made that I think it was time for me to retire, we had some friends here in Florida that we came to visit. And so long story short, they basically informed us of this nice quiet place called St. Lucie County and how there was property available.
Okay.
Well, we invested in some property, and ultimately, when I decided to retire, we decided that we would leave Jersey and come to Florida, and that I wanted to continue teaching. So I knew that teaching was a passion of mine, because I also wanted to share what I learned and be a mentor for young men and women, and be an example for them.
So you started at what school?
So I came here to St. Lucie Public Schools. I actually became a substitute, and I substitute at various different schools, various levels, from elementary through middle school and high school. And then I actually ended up being hired at Lincoln Park Academy as an English teacher. I knew that I wanted to be an English teacher, and I worked towards becoming an English teacher. The folks in the certifications department guided me prior to me arriving here in St. Lucie County, and it worked out very, very well. I was able to take my subject area examination, pass that, and then ultimately was hired at Lincoln Park Academy as an English teacher at high school.
How long ago was this? How long have you
This
been
was back in
this?
2004, 2005.
Okay. And so you worked your way up to principal.
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you have to do that?
Worked real hard. Worked real hard. So again, started out as a substitute, became a teacher, an English teacher.
Okay.
Then I actually became the IB coordinator for Lincoln Park Academy.
Okay.
For their International Baccalaureate program, as their program manager. And while during that time, I had some really good mentors. The administrators at Lincoln Park Academy at the time, Ms. Peggy Anderson, who was the principal, Patty Galloway, who was an assistant principal. They provided me with so many opportunities, and Patty was very instrumental in getting me to do what I needed to do in order to become an administrator. And so I began my ed leadership.
Yes, it sounds as if you surrounded yourself with people who could help.
Yes.
With people who were willing to help and support you. And that helped to propel you to the next level of having those type of folks that were willing to give of themselves to get you where you are today.
Yes, ma'am.
Who or what are you most thankful for?
Well, I'm thankful to God, because
Amen to
God
that.
has blessed me. But I'm very thankful for my mother, who brought me into this world. But I'm especially thankful for my wife and my family, because of all the support that I have gotten from my wife and my children.
Where is your mother from?
My mother is actually from Colombia, South America.
Okay. Did you grow up with your dad?
I did.
Okay, and of course, is he also from Colombia?
He's Puerto Rican.
Okay.
So he was born in Puerto Rico and came to New York. My mom, born in Colombia, migrated to New York.
Parents still living?
My mother is still living. She's been blessed with 92 years, going on 93.
Well, we all want that. That's a blessing. So you mentioned being thankful for God. Do you attend a church in the community here?
No, not in the community.
Okay, but you got that church in you.
I do.
You got God in you.
I
That's
do.
the main thing. Okay, so how did you push through your worst times? I know you had some bad times, because we all do. How did you get through those times? And can you think of any specific moment?
Well, I think with any hard times or any challenging times, I believe in prayer. I believe that you pray about it, but there's always something good. You have to look for the good in all the bad. There's always something positive. And so I look for that, and then I focus on that, and then I go from there.
That's great. That's great wisdom to share. You pray about it, but you also look for the positive so that your mind doesn't propel to the negative.
Absolutely.
Which can happen.
Sure,
but
because
we
if
can
you
see
focus on the
nothing
negative,
good.
that's all you're gonna
Right,
that's all you're gonna see
and you can have
do.
all this good around you, but because you're not looking for that good that you
Absolutely.
have that's all around you, you lose out. Do you believe in second chances?
I do.
Okay.
I do. We all make mistakes. We're human. And we all make mistakes. As long as we learn from those mistakes and don't make those same mistakes, then we should all be able to get another opportunity.
That's true. Do you have a teacher that you can that made a tremendous difference in your life, and
Yes.
how did they do that?
Well, Mr. Valk,
Okay.
my high school
Mr.
English
Valk.
teacher, AP English, he was instrumental in me becoming an English teacher. It was because of him and what I learned in his classroom that I had that strong desire to become an English teacher.
I have a grandson that's graduating this year, and he was exposed to a teacher, a history teacher, who he absolutely adored, and now he wants to be a history teacher. And this teacher taught Black history, they taught the Holocaust history, as well as European history, you know, there's a whole round thing.
True.
And because of this teacher, who happens to be white, teaching these different subjects, my grandson now wants to be major in Black history and in history in general. He absolutely adores history now because of this particular teacher. So we make a tremendous difference in people's lives as
Absolutely,
educators.
absolutely.
Now we've got like a minute and a half left. Is there anything you would like to share that maybe I haven't asked you about?
Well, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity.
Well, thank
I
you.
greatly appreciate it. I have watched the Speakers Bureau in the past, and I'll be quite honest, I always scratch my head and ask myself, maybe one day I might be on there. I'll pray about it.
There you go. That's how important prayer is, right? Thank you so much, Mr. Sanabria. I have so many other questions I could ask you that I'm sure that people would really appreciate knowing from you. We have about a minute left, and I do have another question here. What is one characteristic that you believe every leader should possess?
I think the most important characteristic or trait that every leader should possess is good common sense. Okay? Nothing can replace good common sense. We have a lot of things that are put in place that we are supposed to follow. Some of them work. Most of them work, right? But sometimes we have to look at different cases. You know, there are exceptions, and we have to apply that common sense. And we just need to make sure that we utilize it correctly, right? So I believe in good common sense. All good leaders should have that good common sense.
I think that's a wonderful way to end the program. And thank you. I think that we'll all remember the importance of having good common sense. Thank you, Mr. Sanabria, again, and
Very
we
welcome.
appreciate you coming. And hopefully you'll come again at
Yes,
some
ma'am.
time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.